Welcome to Adventure Log. Today we're looking at my painting A Disturbed Respite and how it came to be. Let's take a look. So I started my painting off with the intent of making a matte painting, or kind of like a old historical painting landscape. Nothing super intense, a little more laid back and more scenic. I wanted to kind of do a series of pieces that focused on like the chill in between moments of adventuring, where people are just kind of hanging out by a river and enjoying nice clear water, or setting up camp or anything like that. I really wanted to make sure that I captured that historical painting kind of vibe with this piece, so my intent behind it is going to be lots of deep shadows, really dark reflective pools of water, and again, nothing super intense, something that kind of it gives a little more breathing room. I just want people to be able to kind of view it and soak it in and just kind of feel a sense of calm when looking at it. Right now we're just kind of in the blocking in phase, just kind of caking in spots and just kind of seeing what shapes we can make with our brush, keeping the brush relatively large, and also adding in some not fine details, but adding in some texture and details in spots like trees and stuff, just kind of seeing what shapes we naturally make with our brush as we kind of just dive into this piece. I thought adding like a weeping willow tree that's blooming would be like such a nice way to make like a subtle focal point to kind of draw the eye to the figure. So I began to kind of add that and shape that. It proved to be a little difficult towards the end, but I ended up really liking how it turns out, and hopefully you guys do too when you see it at the end. Now we're starting to see some shapes take hold and start to really build our world and our environment out with these shapes. I'm really starting to like the mood that is being established in this piece at this point, and kind of really trying to lean into it. Again, trying to keep those shadows really deep, trying not to lighten things up too much, trying to keep things pretty muted, but also dark and shadowy. Now we're kind of beginning to add like the flowers on the weeping willow. Hopefully it's not becoming too much of a separation from the piece itself, trying to really find that good middle ground where I can still keep the mood of the piece, but also provide a nice focal point to the whole piece itself. I really enjoy making landscapes. I wish it was something I did more often. It's definitely an area that I want to keep working on. I just find them so therapeutic and so fun to just kind of like mess around with it. But I never, whenever I do them, I'm never super happy with the result. Not until recently. I feel like it took me a while to kind of get the hang of it. But it's definitely still an area I want to keep working on, making more impactful environments, making more dramatic scenes out of environments is definitely something I want to keep pushing for and keep doing. beginning to add details to the figures now. The bird mount that she's riding is called a Hallion in the world that this painting is taking place in. Kind of like a horse, eagle, rooster thing with antlers. But yeah, I'm starting to kind of do the details on the figures. I'm not going to make them super intricate in detail because they're so tiny in the composition, but I definitely think having them have at least a decent amount of detail helps. And it'll help keep the eye, locked in and looking at the painting a little longer, which is nice. Kind of building up some ruins over there in the corner as well. Just kind of adding a little bit of storytelling bit, as well as like lily pads. I feel like that kind of adds like a nice dynamic to the water, so it's not just like this one big reflective pool. There's a little bit more life, a little bit more imperfection to it, because I feel like that is something that I struggled with early on with learning landscapes, is like everything felt very like clean and perfect, and like sometimes like adding various like plants or rocks or anything like that just kind of break up that solid shape really helps build a little more realism to it and a little more depth, and even a little more like world building even is really nice too. So now we're starting to kind of get into like the finer details of the whole piece. You're really seeing the whole composition kind of take hold here. Starting to kind of add a little bit of flowers and spots in the grass, adding some more dense shapes and shadows in the rocks and lily pads, making more reflections in the water, making that water look a little more deep instead of just top surface, adding more value and all that stuff to the painting, just really kind of pushing the depth of this composition a little more and more. And that's kind of pretty much the rest of the piece, is like just all about pushing those elements as far as you can, or as far as you like to. Adding in some more deep shadows now, just to really keep beefing up that the values and the shadows, and just kind of really keep building that drama. Adding the flowers, really beefing up the lightness of those flowers as well, to help intensify that focal point just a little bit, really draw the eye down to the figure. Painting the weeping willow was a lot harder than I thought it would be. I thought it would be pretty easy, like walk in the park, just like some abstract shapes, but I had issues with like the depth of it early on with painting it, but we kind of got there eventually. It was just, I was surprised by how much harder it actually was. Really starting to see the piece coming together now. It's starting to look so good. I'm so happy with it. I do later on adjust the colors and the hues, which you'll see in the final piece. I didn't record that part, unfortunately, but I'm still very pleased with it even at this point right here. I just feel like it needed a little bit of warmth added to it still, so I beefed that up just a little bit to kind of make it look a little more aged. I'm just really thrilled with how this piece is coming out, and like all the details and stuff are kind of starting to pop in, and it's really starting to kind of come together and feel more cohesive, and it's definitely become one of my favorite landscape pieces that I've done for sure. Trying to mess with like beefy shadows towards the end as well. I don't typically do like multiply layers and stuff. I usually just do like a thin coat of just like a darker color on top. I don't think I did a multiply layer on this one, or even an overlay or anything like that. I think I just went on top of it and did like a very light dusting of a darker color. And here we are just kind of putting on like the finishing touches of the painting, beefing up the shadows, adding the mist on the water to kind of create nice ambiance. Some nice glows shining off the armor, and a little bit on the antlers and stuff, just to kind of give like that soft glow everywhere. It's always fun to try to push yourself, especially with less familiar territory, because you end up being pretty surprised with how things turn out and how much you've grown in your art or your craft when you kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone. And I think I did so with here, and I'm really proud of it. I hope you enjoyed the piece as much as I did. Thank you all so much for watching, and keep creating.